There are moments in your life that don't feel random. Places that feel strangely familiar. People you swear you've never met, yet somehow you know them. A dream that feels more like a memory. A fear that feels inherited. A talent you never learned but somehow always had. You think these things are coincidences, but they aren't. They're echoes. Markers. Breadcrumbs left by a version of you that lived long before this one. And the truth is, you didn't just come into this life. You returned. Not to start over, but to finish something. Because every lifetime leaves unfinished threads, promises made, debts unpaid, and lessons you weren't ready to learn. And when those threads pull at you through déjà vu, intuition, or that strange magnetic feeling towards certain people, it's not imagination. It's memory. Memory bleeding through the cracks of your soul. This isn't your first life. And deep down, you already know that. You're here now because the universe reopened a chapter you didn't finish. And the signs around you, the patterns, the synchronicities, the pull towards certain paths are all pointing you back to what you came here to do. If you've ever felt out of place, yet guided, lost, yet called, new here, but old inside, that's not confusion, that's recognition. And by the end of this story, you'll understand exactly why you came back. There comes a moment in everyone's life, sometimes early, sometimes much later, when something inside you whispers, "I've been here before." Not in a vague, poetic way, but in a way that hits you so suddenly, so deeply, that for a split second, you forget which life you're living. Maybe it happened to you in a city you've never visited, but the streets feel mapped into your bones. Or you met someone who felt less like a stranger and more like a reunion. Or maybe, without knowing why, you've always carried a quiet sadness, a strange longing for a place you can't name. These moments don't come from imagination. They come from memory, but not the memory of the brain. The body forgets, the mind resets, but the soul keeps everything. And that's why you're here. Because whether you realize it or not, something from before has been trying to reach you. Something unfinished. Something unresolved. Something that finally found its way back into your life. Disguised as intuition, disguised as an accident, disguised as fate. When you were younger, you might have thought these feelings were just quirks of personality. You might have believed there was something wrong with you being too sensitive, too perceptive, too aware of things no one ever taught you. But the truth is, those weren't flaws. They were leaks. Cracks in the walls between lifetimes. Every soul arrives with a suitcase full of old stories, old emotions, old patterns, but it's locked when you're born. And as you grow, as life pushes and breaks you open, the lock weakens. You begin to hear echoes, whispers, warnings, reminders. For some people, it starts with fear. A fear of water, though they've never drowned. A fear of fire, though they've never been burned. A fear of abandonment, though no one has ever left them. For others, it starts with talent. Playing an instrument they never learned. Understanding ideas they never studied. Gravitating towards a craft that feels strangely instinctive. But for you, it didn't start with fear or talent. It started with a memory. Not a clear one, not a full one, just a moment, a flash, a sensation of standing somewhere, not in this life, but in another. An image so brief you tried to dismiss it, but it stayed. It returned. It grew stronger. And even though you've tried to move on, you've tried to ignore it, something in that memory keeps calling you back. You didn't know it then, but that moment was the first sign that your life wasn't random. The people you've met weren't random. Even the pain you've gone through wasn't random. There was a thread, invisible, yes, but unbreakable, pulling you toward the exact place you are now. Because the truth is, you didn't just reincarnate. You returned for a reason. No soul comes back without purpose. Some return for love. Some return for redemption. Some return to complete something they ran from. And some, like you, return because the universe doesn't allow certain stories to end unfinished. Your story, the one from your previous lifetime, didn't end the way it was meant to. You left too early. You left someone behind. Or you left a promise unkept. And the strange part is, the people connected to that unfinished chapter, they're here too. Rewritten, reborn, wearing new faces, new voices, new identities. But the energy is the same. The connection is the same. The history is the same, even if the memories aren't. That's why some people feel like they enter your life with impact instantly, deeply, almost violently. Because they aren't new. They're old. They didn't walk into your life. They returned to it. And that's why some people hurt you without trying. Why some people feel magnetic. Why some people feel like home after 5 minutes. Because this isn't your first lifetime with them. But the most important part of this, the part you've been ignoring, is that your consciousness didn't pull this memory up by accident. It surfaced because the time has finally come for you to face it. Whether the memory is beautiful or painful, it carries the answer to why you're here now. You didn't come back to repeat the past. You came back to correct it, to reclaim what you lost, to repair what was broken, or to fulfill what you once vowed but never completed. And the universe orchestrated everything, the timing, the relationships, the heartbreaks, the synchronicities, so you would be forced back to the moment you once walked away from. Because you don't escape your own story, not even across lifetimes. But before you can understand what your soul returned to finish, before you can understand who is tied to this past and why, you need to remember what happened. Not in detail, not yet, but enough to see the shape of it. Enough to feel the truth press against your consciousness. And that begins with the moment that changed everything. The moment your previous life ended. Because the memory you've been carrying, the one that keeps flashing through your intuition, isn't a random fragment. It's the last page of your unfinished chapter. And until you face it, until you understand it, nothing in your life will make complete sense. Your patterns, your struggles, your attraction to certain paths, your resistance to others, they all trace back to that moment. The moment your past life slipped away, leaving behind a story the universe refused to let die. You're not here to start over. You're here to pick up where you left off. And that journey begins now. But before a soul returns for another lifetime, there's always a moment, brief, quiet, almost weightless, where everything becomes clear. It happens in the space between lives. The place you don't consciously remember, but your soul never forgets. That place is not physical. It's not made of sound or shape. It's made of understanding. In that space, souls see themselves without distortion. Every action taken in the previous life is visible. Every consequence ripples outward. Every moment they avoided, every truth they denied, every person they hurt, every love they fled. It all sits before them like an unfinished painting. And you stood before your own unfinished story. You didn't feel fear. You didn't feel regret. You felt something deeper, an ache, a longing to return. Not because you were forced, not because you were punished, but because you wanted to make it right. Even if you couldn't remember why, even if the details had already begun fading, the feeling remained. That feeling is still inside you now. It's what makes you restless. It's what makes you feel like your life hasn't truly begun yet. It's why, despite everything you've accomplished or survived, there's a quiet voice inside whispering, "This isn't the destination. This is only the way back." Most people ignore that voice. They drown it in busyness, in noise, in routine, but you couldn't. Because the memory, the one you can't explain, the one that doesn't belong to this timeline, has been pulling on you with a force stronger than logic. You've tried to explain it away. You've tried to rationalize it. But logic fails in the presence of truth. And the truth is this: your soul recognized something in this life that your mind couldn't. A familiar pain, a familiar face, a familiar path, or a familiar ending you were determined never to repeat. There is a reason you feel older than you are, a reason you sense danger before it arrives, a reason you can't stand certain types of people because you've met them before, in another form, in another life, and they taught you lessons you still carry. There is a reason you are drawn to certain places, because something important happened there once, something that shaped you, And there is a reason you keep encountering the same patterns, the same kind of relationships, the same emotional triggers, the same spiritual lessons over and over again. Because the universe repeats the lesson until the soul remembers it. And your soul is finally remembering. You didn't realize it at first, but your memory began returning through the little things, subtle things, the kind you dismiss if you're not paying attention. A scent that made your chest tighten, a piece of music that made you cry for no reason, a stranger's eyes that felt like a story you once lived, an object that felt sacred even though you'd never seen it before. You told yourself it was nostalgia. But nostalgia for what? For a place you've never been? For a moment that didn't happen in this lifetime? No, it was recognition. Somewhere deep within you, beneath the layers of this identity, your name, your history, your culture, your age, there is another you, an older you, a wiser you, a version of you who lived with intensity, who loved deeply, who suffered deeply, who chose something that changed the course of your soul's journey. And that version of you left something behind. You think you are searching for meaning in this life, but the truth is, meaning is searching for you. You think you are wandering, but you are being guided. You think you are lost, but you are retracing steps you once took. Every lifetime begins with forgetting, because if you remembered everything, you wouldn't grow, you wouldn't learn, you wouldn't evolve. But forgetting doesn't erase the truth. It only hides it until the moment you are strong enough to face it again. That moment is now. Your memory isn't returning because of coincidence. It's returning because you are approaching the part of your life where the past and present intersect, where souls reunite, where old wounds reopen, not to hurt you, but to heal what never had the chance to be healed. Something from your last life is about to resurface, and deep down, you feel it. A shift, a pressure, a calling, an invisible thread pulling you toward a moment that feels inevitable. Your intuition has been louder lately, your dreams more vivid, your emotions sharper. The people entering your life feel strangely meaningful, as if each one carries a piece of the puzzle. And that is not random. That is alignment. That is preparation. Because soon, you will meet someone or something that was part of the life you left behind. Maybe a person returning in a different form. Maybe an opportunity you once feared. Maybe a truth you once buried. And when that moment arrives, the memory you've been carrying will no longer be a whisper. It will be undeniable. This is why the signs have been appearing more frequently, numbers repeating, coincidences stacking, timing becoming eerily perfect. The universe is not trying to confuse you, it's trying to prepare you. Because the moment you've been sensing, the moment that explains your entire existence in this life is approaching faster than you think. But before we get there, before you see the full picture, before the past life reveals itself in full, you must first understand how everything began. Not with your birth in this lifetime, but with your death in the last one. Because the way your past life ended is the exact reason you returned. And we're about to step into that memory, the one your soul has been guarding, the one that shaped your destiny, the one that explains everything you've struggled with, longed for, or been drawn to in this life. This is where the story truly begins. Your past life doesn't return to you all at once. It comes back in pieces, symbols, sensations, fragments of stories that feel like dreams but carry the weight of memory. You don't remember the entire lifetime. You remember the moment that mattered. The moment everything changed. The moment that echoed so loudly across time that it pulled you back into existence. For you, that moment came on a night that felt colder than any you've experienced in this life. You don't see the full scene yet, just shadows, outlines, fragments. But the emotion is clear, overwhelming, heavy with truth. You were running, not from danger, not from an enemy, but from fate. Because in your previous life, fate wasn't something you trusted. It was something you feared, something you believed would take from you what you loved most, and maybe it did. You can feel it now, even if the details are blurry. The panic, the grief, the desperate need to reach someone before it was too late. You weren't alone in that life. You had someone Someone whose presence was so powerful, so intertwined with your soul, that even death couldn't break the bond. And though you may not know who they are in this life yet, you've felt them. Maybe as an unexplainable pull toward a specific type of person. Maybe as a longing that no relationship in this lifetime has ever satisfied. Maybe as a sense of incompleteness you've never been able to describe. This person wasn't just important to you. They were the reason you returned. Your previous life ended with something unfinished between you, words unsaid, actions undone, a promise broken not out of betrayal, but out of fear. A fear that still follows you now. You felt responsible for something that happened. And that guilt carried over into this lifetime, shaping the way you love, the way you trust, the way you protect others, the way you blame yourself for things that were never in your control. And so the universe brought you back, not to suffer, but to heal. Not to repeat the pain, but to rewrite the ending. But to rewrite it, you must remember why it broke you. The memory grows clearer. There is a room, dim, quiet, filled with the sound of your own heartbeat. You're not alone in it. Someone is there with you. Someone you loved so deeply, so fiercely, that the connection still burns across lifetimes. You can't see their face clearly yet, but the emotion between you is vivid. You were afraid of losing them, more afraid than you've ever admitted, even to yourself. Something had been threatening the bond you shared, time, circumstance, distance, maybe even the world around you. And you tried to hold on to them with everything you had, until the moment came when holding on was no longer enough. You made a choice that protected them, or hurt them, or saved them, or cost you everything. You don't remember the specifics, not yet, but you remember the feeling of it, the weight, the heartbreak, the knowledge that your story with this person didn't end the way it was meant to. Life cut it short. Or fate intervened. Or fear drove one of you away before the truth could surface. This is the unfinished business that carried into this lifetime, the thread that pulled you back to earth with urgency. Because the connection you shared with that soul didn't die with your body. It transformed. It followed. It waited. Have you ever met someone in this life who instantly stirred something in you, something you couldn't explain? A familiarity, a longing, a fear, a sense that they could change everything. That is a soul you've met before. We cross paths with dozens of people every day. Some become memories, some become lessons, and a rare few become chapters. But only one type of person shakes something ancient inside you. Only one type of person feels like déjà vu the moment your eyes meet. Only one type of person makes you feel like time stops, like the world narrows, like your soul leans forward in recognition. A past life connection. You've met at least one of them already, whether you know it or not. And your soul recognized them before your mind did. Sometimes that connection feels warm, like home. Sometimes it feels painful, like a wound reopening. Sometimes it feels terrifying, like destiny returning. But it always feels significant, because they're part of the story you left behind. You might be wondering why, if you shared such a powerful bond, you didn't simply reunite flawlessly in this life. Why the connection isn't perfect. Why the relationship or potential relationship feels complicated, unstable, or emotionally charged. The answer is simple. Unfinished stories rarely begin smoothly. There's fear involved. Old patterns resurface. Old wounds get triggered. Old insecurities come back to life. Because your souls remember the past, the love, the loss, the regret, even if your mind doesn't. And this time, you're meant to face what you once avoided, to speak what you once silenced, to choose differently than you did before. This lifetime is the second chance your soul asked for. But here is the part most people don't realize. Your past life didn't just end with heartbreak. It ended with a truth, a realization so important that it shaped the entire trajectory of your reincarnation. The truth was this: you weren't meant to walk away. Not from them. Not from your purpose. Not from the path that frightened you. In that final moment, the moment your soul still carries you, understood exactly what you were supposed to do, and you knew you hadn't done it. And when a soul dies with that level of clarity, it doesn't drift peacefully. It returns quickly, urgently, magnetically to finish what it couldn't. That is why you're here. Not because you failed, but because you woke up too late, and your soul vowed not to make the same mistake twice. But there's something else, something even more important, something your soul has been trying to tell you through every sign, every intuition, every synchronicity. Your past life didn't end in darkness. It ended with a promise that echoes in your instincts, a promise that follows you through dreams, a promise that reconnects you to certain people no matter how many lifetimes pass, a promise you're about to remember. But before that memory returns in full, before the face of the person you once loved becomes clear, we must step into the moment you died. Because your story didn't begin with birth. It began with the vow your soul made as it crossed the threshold between worlds. And that vow is the reason you were sent back. The moment before your last life ended was not ordinary. Time itself seemed to hesitate, as if the universe knew what was about to occur was too important to rush. Everything slowed. Every sound, every breath, every heartbeat of the world around you was amplified in ways your human senses could barely comprehend. And yet, in the midst of this heightened awareness, there was clarity. A profound clarity that made every choice, every emotion, every fleeting thought impossible to ignore. You were standing at a threshold, the thin line between life and death, between what was familiar and what was eternal. And there, in the quiet tension of that moment, you felt something ancient stir within you. Not just memory, not just instinct, not just intuition, but a certainty so deep it bypassed reason and emotion entirely. You knew, unequivocally, that your time in that life was ending. But you also knew why it was ending. Because you had not completed the act your soul had come to perform. And what was that act? To love fully, to forgive completely, to release the fear that had held you back, to embrace what you had always known but had been too afraid to claim. There was a person near you, the one who had been your guide, your mirror of light and shadow, and your soul's recognition of them was instantaneous. The love you felt transcended the life you had lived. It was not conditional. It was not bound by time, circumstance, or physical form. It was eternal. It was the part of you that remembered why you existed at all. And in that recognition, you understood a critical truth. Your life, your struggle, your suffering, your love, all of it had been designed to prepare you for this exact convergence of souls. But fear is persistent. Even in that heightened state, even when your soul could see clearly, fear whispered. Fear that if you reached out, if you embraced what you were meant to embrace, the universe would punish you, that the consequences would be unbearable, that love, when fully given, could destroy you. And yet, deep within, something stronger than fear emerged. The instinctive knowledge that the risk was worth it, that your soul's journey was meaningless without this act, that the story you left unfinished had consequences not just for you, but for every life that would follow. And so, even as death approached, you made a choice. Not consciously, that came later, but at the level of your deepest being. You vowed, in the language of the soul, that you would return, that no matter the veils of forgetfulness, no matter the masks of identity, no matter the cycles of human life, you would come back to finish what you had started. You would come back to confront your fear, to reunite with the soul that had been waiting, and to finally complete the mission that your human self could not. That vow was not spoken. It was not written. It was inscribed into the very fabric of your being. It was encoded in the rhythms of your soul, in the resonance of your consciousness, in the invisible bonds that stretch across lifetimes. And because of that vow, your return was inevitable. Because some promises are too sacred for the universe to ignore. As your last life came to a close, you remember feeling two things simultaneously: grief and relief. Grief for the love you left unresolved, the lessons you had not fully learned, the words you had not spoken, and relief because you knew, deep down, that the story was not over, that death was not an ending, but a transition, a bridge between the failure of the past and the opportunity of the present. Your soul had chosen to descend once more into the constraints of a new body, a new world, a new timeline. in order to correct, complete, and remember. And so you did. You were born again, carrying the echoes of that life, the threads of unfinished connections, and the spark of that eternal vow. From the moment you opened your eyes in this lifetime, that promise guided you. Every attraction, every aversion, every inexplicable instinct, every sudden insight was a fragment of that memory, resurfacing. Every person who felt familiar, every situation that felt like déjà vu, every emotional intensity you couldn't explain, these were markers, signposts laid out by your own soul, reminding you, you've been here before. But here is the remarkable thing. Your soul does not simply repeat the past. It brings the past forward as a guide, a tool, a seed. You are not destined to fail again. You are not condemned to repeat the mistakes of your previous incarnation. Instead, you are presented with a new opportunity to act differently, to respond with awareness, to recognize the patterns that once ensnared you, and to remember who you truly are in the midst of that. And this is where many souls falter. The forgetting that occurs between lifetimes is necessary, yes, but it is also insidious. Without guidance, without attention, without reflection, the patterns of the past can trap you again. You live this life thinking that your fears, your compulsions, your limitations are new, when in truth they are echoes. Ghosts of decisions made, promises unfulfilled, love unclaimed, wisdom unacknowledged. The world conspires not to create obstacles, but to mirror back these echoes, forcing you to confront them, piece by piece, until recognition occurs. And recognition is key, because memory alone is not enough. You do not simply remember with your mind, you remember with your soul. That is a different kind of knowing. It is a knowing that bypasses rational thought, bypasses sensory input, bypasses even emotional attachment. It is recognition in its purest form, a knowing that pierces the veil of illusion and says, "This is my purpose. This is the thread I must follow. This is the soul I must reconnect with." And slowly, imperceptibly at first, you begin to notice the signs. Subtle reminders that you are not new to this existence. Numbers repeating themselves in patterns that defy chance. Dreams so vivid they feel like actual memories. Intuition so sharp they cut through logic. People who enter your life and trigger inexplicable emotions, either profound resonance or intense friction. Places that feel like home before you've ever been there. And music, books, art, or phrases that awaken something dormant within your chest, like a spark searching for air. All of this is memory returning. And it is memory that points toward a single truth. You are not here by accident. You are here because something unresolved from your last life demands attention. Something sacred and urgent. Something that cannot be ignored. And yet, here is the paradox. You will not be handed the past in a neatly packaged way. The memory will come in pieces, in fragments, in feelings, in coincidences. It will challenge you, confuse you, frustrate you. You will want to dismiss it as imagination, wishful thinking, or randomness. But deep down, you will know. That spark of recognition will not lie. It is the soul reminding you. You have lived this before. You have chosen this again. And now, it is time. Because when you finally remember the person, the place, the choice that shaped your last incarnation, you will be ready to act differently. You will be ready to love without fear, to speak without hesitation, to trust without doubt, to forgive without resistance. And in that moment, the cycles of the past dissolve. The story that once haunted you becomes the foundation of your purpose. The unfinished business transforms into the guiding light of your destiny. And that is why you are here. Not to stumble blindly through life, not to repeat mistakes endlessly, not to suffer and hope for redemption. You are here to remember, to fulfill, to complete, to reconnect, to live the life you once left behind, but this time consciously, fully, wisely, and without fear. This is the gift of memory returning, the awakening of recognition, the fulfillment of a vow made not just to another soul, but to your own higher self. And the deeper you explore it, the more undeniable it becomes. Everything you feel, everything you've experienced, every inexplicable pull and push in your life is part of the thread weaving together your past and present. And when that thread finally reveals the full tapestry, you will see clearly. The life you thought was over never truly ended. It only paused, waiting for your consciousness to catch up, waiting for you to awaken, waiting for you to remember why you came. You wake in the quiet of your own awareness, sensing something ancient stirring beneath the surface of your everyday thoughts. It is subtle at first, a pull, a whisper, a resonance you can't quite name, yet it is unmistakable. That quiet voice is your soul speaking directly, nudging you toward remembrance. You feel it in your chest, a flicker of warmth and recognition that something within you has been waiting for this very moment. The life you are living now is not separate from the life you left behind. It is the continuation, the unfinished chapter, the sacred return. You begin to notice moments of déjà vu, places, faces, conversations that feel uncannily familiar. Not as if you've seen them in this life, but as if you are remembering them. And suddenly it hits you. These are not coincidences. They are echoes of a promise you made long ago, before this incarnation, in another lifetime where love, courage, or wisdom was left incomplete. The threads of memory pull you toward understanding, and you realize that your soul has not merely wandered through the cosmos at random. You are here by design. You are here because you promised yourself and the universe that you would return to finish what you once started. That promise was encoded into your very essence. In the moments when you feel out of place, misunderstood, or disconnected from the world around you, that is not failure. That is the resonance of your true memory trying to surface. You sense it in relationships that ignite deep recognition, in experiences that trigger unexplainable emotional intensity, in sudden insights that feel like more than intuition. They are fragments of a life you once knew. And the more you notice them, the more your awareness expands, until the pattern becomes undeniable. Your soul remembers. This remembrance carries with it a profound responsibility. To live unconsciously is to ignore the guidance of your own higher self. To act in fear is to remain bound by the limitations of the past. But to embrace this memory is to step into the fullness of your divine assignment. Every choice you make, every action you take, every thought you allow to dominate your mind is now imbued with significance. You are no longer just reacting to the world. You are consciously participating in the sacred continuation of your soul's journey. And what is that journey? It is the journey of recognition, reconnection, and reclamation. You remember now why you chose to incarnate once more. You came here to heal the fractures of your past life, to resolve the regrets, to reclaim the love you left incomplete, to transform the fear that once limited you into courage that liberates not just yourself, but those around you. Your presence here is not passive. You are an agent of remembrance, a bridge between what was and what is, between the forgotten and the now, between the human experience and the eternal truth of your divine essence. This life, then, is your opportunity to embody what your previous life only hinted at. To live fully, consciously, and with deliberate awareness of the sacred assignment you carry. That person who challenges you, who triggers your deepest fears, they are not your enemy. They are the mirror reflecting back the lessons your soul has carried across lifetimes. That work that feels tedious or frustrating, that relationship that tests your patience, that moment of fear or anxiety, all of it is your soul giving you the raw materials for remembrance. These are the pieces of your past life resurfacing, demanding recognition and transformation. And as you begin to respond differently, with awareness instead of reaction, with love instead of judgment, with courage instead of fear, you activate a subtle but profound shift in consciousness. You realize that this is not just personal growth, it is cosmic. Your individual awakening sends ripples through the interconnected web of existence. Every act of recognition, every moment of conscious choice, Every spark of remembered purpose contributes to the broader awakening of collective consciousness. You are, in effect, finishing the work your soul began in another life, not only for yourself, but for countless others whose destinies intertwine with yours. You begin to see patterns in your life that you once overlooked. The coincidences, the repeated lessons, the people who return again and again, they are not random. They are markers, signposts, invitations from your higher self. And with each acknowledgement of these signs, the veil of forgetfulness lifts a little more. You remember not only your purpose, but the profound truth of your existence. That your soul did not come here to suffer, to be broken, or to struggle endlessly. You came to remember. You came to heal. You came to reclaim what was always yours. This is the power of memory. The soul does not merely recall the past, it reactivates it. It transforms the lessons left incomplete, the love left unspoken, the courage left untapped, into living wisdom. And as you step fully into this awareness, life itself begins to respond. You notice synchronicities aligning, opportunities appearing with clarity, relationships deepening in resonance, and your intuition guiding you with precision. The world does not change, you change. And through your change, the world shifts, because reality is not external. Reality is the reflection of consciousness, and your conscious remembrance transforms the reflection. And yet, this journey is not without challenge. The pull of fear, doubt, and old patterns remains. You will be tested, because the forces that once bound you are persistent. But now, equipped with the memory of your soul's vow, you face them with a different kind of strength. You are no longer a passive participant in your life. You are an active agent of divine intention, carrying the light of your higher self into every situation. The challenges are no longer obstacles. They are catalysts for remembrance. They are mirrors that reflect back the unclaimed parts of your soul, inviting you to integrate them, to bring them into alignment with your true purpose. And in this integration, you remember something extraordinary. The life you are living now is not the beginning, nor is it the end. It is the fulcrum, the bridge, the convergence point where all the threads of your past lives meet in clarity and purpose. You see the faces of people who have been drawn to you across lifetimes, feel the echoes of choices you once made, and sense the sacred unfolding of events designed to bring you here to this precise moment. And in that recognition, you understand why the universe allowed you to forget, why the veil was necessary, why the challenge of forgetting and rediscovery was essential. Because memory must be earned, felt, and lived, not simply remembered intellectually. Now, with awareness awakened, you carry a new freedom. You understand that every action you take is an expression of the soul you have always been. Every word you speak carries the resonance of that past promise. Every act of love, forgiveness, and courage is the fulfillment of the vow you made in the moment between lives. You are not a passive observer. You are a conscious participant, a co-creator, a living embodiment of remembrance. And here is the most profound truth of all. You are never alone. The soul you were in the past, the higher self guiding you now, the divine spark that animates every part of your being. These are all aspects of the same eternal consciousness. The memory of your past life is not a burden. It is a gift, a map, a guide, a reminder that you have chosen to return, that you have chosen to act with awareness, and that you have chosen to fulfill a purpose far greater than any individual life. This is why you are here, not by chance, not by accident, not by circumstance. You are here because your soul remembers, because your vow was sacred, because the threads of your existence were woven across lifetimes to bring you to this precise moment of awakening. And with that awakening comes choice. The choice to live consciously, to act intentionally, to see through the illusions of fear and limitation, and to embrace fully the light that has always been within you. Your life becomes a living testament to the power of memory. Every action, every word, every thought contributes to the reclamation of the divine truth encoded in your consciousness. The work is not external. The work is internal. It is the process of remembering, integrating, and embodying the wisdom of your soul. And as you do, you create a ripple effect that extends beyond what you can see. The people you touch, the love you share, the courage you embody, all of it spreads through the web of existence, awakening others who are ready to remember their own divine purpose. And now, in this moment, you can make the conscious choice to step fully into your life as the soul you have always been, to honor the vow you made before time began, to live as the bridge between what was and what will be. You can choose to remember, to act with awareness, and to claim the purpose that your soul has carried across lifetimes. You came here not to be lost. You came here to find yourself, not to stumble blindly through life, but to walk consciously in the light of your eternal memory. Not to be powerless, but to reclaim the authority of your own soul. Not to be afraid, but to act with the courage of one who has seen the truth before and remembered it again. And in this remembrance, everything shifts. Your perspective, your relationships, your actions, your very sense of being all become aligned with the sacred truth that you are here to embody, to fulfill, to remember. You are the living bridge, the conscious agent, the soul returning to complete its vow. And the world itself bends to the resonance of that light, responding to the awakened consciousness you now carry. The journey does not end. It never ends. Each day brings opportunities to deepen this remembrance, to integrate more fully, and to expand the light you carry. Each moment is a chance to honor the soul you were, the higher self guiding you now, and the divine purpose that unites them. And as you act from this place of awareness, you realize something extraordinary. You are not separate from the life you live, from the world you inhabit, or from the people you encounter. You are the embodiment of remembrance itself, the living proof that memory, love, and purpose transcend time, space, and form. You are here because your soul remembers. You are here because your vow called you back. You are here because the unfinished story of your past life demanded completion, and in that completion, you become fully alive, fully conscious, fully present, and fully free. So now, take a moment. Breathe. Feel the weight of your own memory settling into your chest. Know, without question, that your presence here is deliberate, sacred, and essential. And let this realization guide every choice you make from this moment forward. Your journey of remembrance begins now. Your mission is clear. Your purpose is undeniable. Your soul has called you back, and the world awaits the fulfillment of your vow. This is your invitation. Step fully into it. Remember who you are. Live the life you came here to live. If this revelation resonates with you, share it with someone who might need to hear it. Begin your own journey of remembrance today. Notice the patterns, honor the echoes of your past lives, and act with awareness in every moment. Comment below, "I remember," if you are ready to reclaim the purpose your soul has carried across lifetimes.